Okay, so I'm sorry guys, give me one moment here. Okay. So welcome to Pilates Fusion. So if you have your prop, that can be a ball, a Pilates ball, sort of like this size. You can fit into your hands, or a rolled up towel or blanket would work great too. Okay, we'll use that later. And as we move through the practice, please honor your body, the cues that come up for your body. If you've got an injury or something going on that you're needing to attend to, change the movement for yourself and just listen to your body. So we will start standing today and get warmed up. Okay, cool. So go ahead and find a stance. Oh, and if you want to have your playlist on, you can go ahead and press play and put your music on for a little bit of inspiration. So starting with a nice wide stance with your feet, you can take your toes to turn out slightly so that you have a little bit of movement side to side, and just what we'll start with. A little bit of shifting from one leg to the other, gently warming up into the feet and legs and letting the upper body be soft, and just starting to connect into your breath and taking a few moments to just feel the earth beneath you. Feel your breath moving through your body. Let your arms just dangle and be heavy for now. I'm letting my torso, my ribs sway a little bit naturally, so just making it your own design and movement. And then you might start to sway a little bigger in your upper body. Maybe let your head respond in some way, finding your own flow here as you shift from one leg to the other. Grounding, centering with your breath and with your movement. And let's allow the arms to follow. So instead of it being like an arm movement, imagine your arms the way they come from your back, right? So your arms are just a reflection of the movement of your back, and you just become creative in the movement to allow that shifting through the spine, through the ribs, through the neck. Right? You might be turning your head to one side each time, really just doing what feels good to open the body as one entity. And then you'll begin to just slow that down a little bit and start to make it a little smaller. So you're still doing it, but it's starting to come to a little close here. You'll keep shifting and feel that your knees are soft, your ankles are very pliable into the earth, your toes spread out. So you have that feeling of groundedness into the earth. And then you'll come to your relative stillness and have your feet parallel now, so your toes facing the front. And just bend your knees quite deeply. I'm still wider than the hips here. Let the arms open up nice and wide. And just take a deep breath in as you open your chest. And as you exhale, curl your spine. I'll show you from the sides, from head to tail, curling in a bit, right? Staying in this little squat, you open the spine and you exhale, curl the spine. It's like a standing cat-cow in a squat. Right, so find your connection to your breath and your movement so it makes sense for your body. Your breath might be moving differently than what I'm cueing. Right, but just really feeling your back body move into the space behind you and the front body open, allowing the spine to really be expressive and mobile. Building that warmth through the legs. And after this last one, once it's completed, come back out to center and just stand up with straight legs. Let your arms rest for a moment. And just let your arms kind of shake out through the elbows and the wrist. We use our hands so much, and we have to remember that everything we do with our hands is reflected through our shoulders and our neck. So allow your shoulders to creep up to your ears and tense your shoulders up like you're cold or upset, right? And you can even clench your fists and get very, very tight and tense. And then just gently let it go and feel the shoulders slide down. Do that a few times. You actually are going to create tension through the body. You can start to include your lower body, squeeze your butt, grip your abs. It's like a really uncomfortable, you might even scrunch your face up so your whole body is tense, and then you gently almost have a new baseline for rest. Take a breath here. And we'll do that one more time. Create the tension. Now the shape of your body might change. Like maybe you're putting your fists up like a little kid who's really upset, or you're crunching up your body into like this tight, rigid position. Feel your face, your neck, your back, your butt, your feet, everything in your body tense, 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 and then let it unfurl. And then just take a few slow breaths, letting your body feel that change in energy. Feel your breath slowly move through the whole body. Receiving the inhale into your fingertips, into your toes, so it's not just where we feel the diaphragm moving. And then allowing the exhale to rest the whole body. Do 2 more rounds of breath there with full body inhales. And slow exhales. Okay, you're going to take another kind of wide stance with your feet. We're going to do a breath Kriya cleansing exercise, and I'll just show it to you first so you kind of get an idea before you do it. You might want your toes, your legs turned out a little bit before we start. So you'll take a nice full inhale, and then you'll exhale all the air out. It's like I'm throwing the air out like this, throwing my arms back. I might even stick my tongue out to really like exhale completely, and then I hold the exhale out, and I almost take an inhale without actually inhaling, if you know what I mean. I kind of suck up the muscles of my diaphragm, but I'm still not breathing for as long as I can. Don't let yourself get dizzy or anything. And you hold that breath out for as long as you can. And then you let the inhale happen when it needs to happen. Okay, it might make sense when you actually do it. So the other thing is, after you do your full inhale, you exhale the air out. You might stay here holding your breath out. It might feel good to have your arms stretched up as you're holding your breath out, okay? So we'll go all together. Take a normal breath in and out. And when you're ready, inhale into your whole body and throw all the air out. Hold it out. And you might inhale without taking a breath, if that makes sense, to feel that space or stretch in your diaphragm. When you need to, let the inhale happen. Bring your body back to neutral standing. Take a couple of recovery breaths there. And so what we're doing is creating a stretch and space in our diaphragm muscle when we're holding the breath out. I hope that part makes sense about you holding the breath out, but then you're inhaling without letting the air come in. Okay, we'll do 2 more rounds. Breathe in. And exhale completely. Inhaling when you need to. And taking a few recovery breaths. Let your body move a little bit if you need to. Here's our last time. Nice full inhale. Empty the lungs. All the way to the end. Inhaling when you need to. Taking those few recovery breaths as you come back to your shifting, moving through the joints again. Before we come down to the mat, we're going to do a couple more standing motions. Bring yourself into some version of a warrior two, right? So you're going to have your front knee bent, your back leg long with your heel down. And I want you to just let some movement happen. So you might move your hips a little bit. You might move in and out of this front foot. So you're not like staying still in your pose, right? You're allowing for some fluidity through that. And you can, again, let the arms open or respond. And feel your back foot connected into the earth. And then let that bottom arm come down and turn your back foot up so you're parallel to facing the front of your mat. Inhale, lift your arms, and exhale, slowly come down to the mat, lower your back knee and lower your hands. All right, so you're coming into a nice stretch here for your thigh. And again, I encourage you to move a little bit in and out of it so you're not just hanging in the stretch, but bringing some life, some buoyancy into the opening of that thigh. Using your breath to move. And then you might pause in the stretch and bring your hands onto your top thigh. Again, so we're having a lift of the spine, and we're going to focus a lot on the spine when we get into the mat work here today. So we're going to let the arm open up for a nice big circle, and you might look at your hand to challenge your balance or not, right? If you feel a bit too wobbly here, you might just stay without the arm movement. And breathing in as you allow for the ribs and spine to open. One more time. And then both hands return to the mat. Lift your back knee off. Turn to the center so you're in a wide-legged forward fold. So you can let your head and your arms release down towards the mat. You might keep the knees soft here, or you might do a gentle pulse with your knees, bending and stretching. Let the neck be free. You might shake the head no or nod it yes, just to check in with your neck. And then we'll lift the spine up about halfway on a nice big inhale, and exhale, forward fold, hang over towards the floor. Inhale, lift halfway, and exhale, release the crown to the floor. Once more, inhale, and exhale, release. Walk your hands to the other foot. Turn that front foot to the top of the mat, and then take a big inhale to lift the body up. And find your warrior two on the other side. And again, just keeping this gentle and quite agile, right? So you might circle or figure eight your hips. You might be focusing on your front foot and knee moving in and out of the floor. And taking, again, some breaths here. And it's not technical. Allow your body just to be receiving the shape, open to different possibilities in and out of this shape. And then we'll do this transition. The back heel comes off. We turn our hips to the front of the mat. We lift the arms, and then we exhale to catch the floor and drop the back knee. Coming into our hip stretch here. Shifting maybe a little bit out of it and back into it. And just finding, kind of saying hello to the hips here. Gently. And then pause when the hips are a bit more forward. Lift the spine, ground yourself onto that front thigh. And then if it feels okay for your balance, extend your arm, opening out. Same arm as the leg that you're stretching. Then just make some circles. If that feels helpful on the spine, you might inhale. As the arm opens, exhale to come down. Breathe in. Exhale. And then catch the mat again with both hands. Lift the back knee. Turn both feet to the center of your mat to come back to that wide-legged forward fold. Let the head drop down just like earlier. Knees can be long or bent. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale. Release one more time. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, release. This time lift all the way up, reach the arms up to the ceiling. Bring the palms together, bring them straight down through to your heart center. And taking a moment to breathe into your heart space. And a nice long exhale out. Okay, and then you just kind of heel toe your feet and we'll make our way down to the mat now. Okay, and then we'll get into more of the Pilates work here. So you can grab your prop, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter, something soft is nice, and bring it underneath your pelvis, right? So you'll lie on your back and the prop will be underneath your sacrum, right? So it's not up onto the lower back where my bum's hanging off. I'm actually on that triangle bone, the sacrum, where the pelvis is nice and supported. So you might put your hands on your hips just to kind of notice the level, the hips staying level. And as you have your hands, you have the heels of your hands on your hip bones, so your fingers are spread across your low belly. And there you can just come into some slow belly breaths. And we're now localizing our breath. Before it was more global, and now we're bringing our breath into this more targeted space into the low belly. So allow the low belly to expand when you inhale, just like when a baby breathes, they really let their belly expand. And when we exhale, noticing the fall of the belly. And you might refine that and just draw it in a little bit more on your exhale to feel that connection and that clarity through your low belly muscles. So do a couple more like that. And this is key, right? So connecting the exhale to those deep transverse abdominals really creates that support that's helpful for our back and our hips and our knees. So the next time that you find that exhale and the feeling of the muscles kind of gathering in and up, right? They just barely come up, the belly muscles, the muscle fibers up towards your belly button a little bit when you exhale. Keep that feeling of drawing in. You can either keep your hands on your belly if that's helpful, or you can just rest them on the mat. And then exhale to bring your right knee over your hip, so it's tabletop shape, we call it. And then exhale a little stronger to keep drawing the belly muscles in as you add the second leg. So you want to keep the feeling of the muscles coming in versus them pop out, right? That can tend to happen sometimes. So we're going to concentrate on letting them fall in. And then bring your awareness now to your rib cage. You're gripping it closed just simply because you're softening into yourself a little bit more. From here, we'll warm up with some toe taps. So allow one foot to come down towards the mat and inhale to float in. And exhale, soften the front ribs, other side. Inhale, float in. And continue at your own pace, and you might not even be touching the mat, right? If you have any compression in your lower back, you might just do this with one leg. So feel free to modify how it suits you today. And I like to use the exhale as my leg is going away from me to create that support and that reminder of softening the body, the front body into the back body. You might take the legs further out for a little bit more of a challenge if that's feeling good for you. Really customizing the movement to challenge you just enough, right? You can keep the breath connected. You can bring some movement into those joints, reversing direction. Take a couple deeper breaths here. Now, we're going to turn the legs out. Sometimes we call this frog legs. So basically, it's hard maybe for you to tell, but my knees are apart and my heels are together. My feet are flexed and my toes are apart for now, right? So my knees are way far away from each other. And nice and simple here, all I'm going to do is exhale to close my knees together like I'm closing a book, and inhale, knees apart. And exhale, they come together, and inhale, they come apart. Right, and I'm gathering to the center, exhales come together, inhale, separate. Exhale, gather together. Inhale, pause in the frog legs. So this becomes a lot more challenging, this next part. So you really want to come into that connection of the low belly drawing inwards. Push your heels into each other and notice your inner thighs engaged, right? So you've got that really clear connection through the whole body, and then slowly lower the legs, not very much at all, because you don't want to change the alignment of your back, and then slowly bring them back into where you began, right? So it might not be big at all, because it's quite a lot of weight to hold on to and to support. Using that exhale. So what I like to do is make my exhale so long, like we did at the Kriya breath exercise. We exhaled all the way to the bottom of the exhale and come back in. Take a moment here and just let your knees fall into your chest and relax so your spine can round and have a little reset moment. Breathe into your low belly, your low back. You might do a little rock side to side. And you'll notice in a lot of the Pilates work, it can be very localized, right? We're like often keeping one part of our body is moving, right? And I'll show you here. So if we have our hands on our knees or thighs and we just kind of circle our knees, right? Passively, our legs are just relaxed and our hands are guiding our knees into circles. I'm trying to keep my pelvis more or less still-ish, but my movement is happening in the hip joint. And a lot of the Pilates principles revolve around that, is moving from one joint and stabilizing the rest to be really efficient in the body. So go ahead and reverse your circle. It's just a nice way to create some fluidity in the joint space of the hips. You don't often really get so detailed in that hip joint. So it's really nice to do this simple movement. Okay, so then we're gonna come back to that tabletop shape that you had earlier and then find the frog legs again, right? So knees apart, heels together. Remember, you want to like really connect the heels until you feel your inner thighs click on a little bit. Take an inhale to prepare. Exhale, lengthen the legs away from you, keeping the turnout so your inner thighs are rotating into each other, and inhale to bend the knees back in. Exhale, lengthen, inner thighs connect as much as they can, turning the legs out. Inhale, bend the knees back in. Exhale, so the lower you go, it's going to be quite a lot more challenging. And the more that you aim for the ceiling, a little less load on your, or a lot less load on your spine, right? So you decide what angle that you want to reach out at. And then you might reach out, point your feet, flex the feet, pull it back in. Exhale, lengthen, belly muscles draw in and up, point and flex and draw it back in. Exhale, reach and point and flex and draw it back in. 2 more times, reach, exhale, point and flex, and drawing it in. Last one here, exhale. And maybe for fun, you say that longer, you point, flex, then you point, and the whole time you're flexing and pointing, you're exhaling and drawing the knees in together, inner thighs together, and then draw the knees all the way into your chest and rest again. Take a restorative breath for your hips and your low back. You might separate the knees and do a little rock like earlier. So we've created lots of heat and organization in that low belly. So let's take the feet onto the floor and take out your prop and just put it to the side for now. Don't need it for now. And your feet will align with your knees and hips. So it's a pretty narrow stance with your feet. And feel, just sense in your mind's eye, your toes, all 10 toes. And see if you can feel all 10 of them connecting. You might wiggle them a little bit just to like connect to the floor and notice your toes. And then move to the ball of your foot and notice if you're favoring one part of your foot as we draw our awareness up into the center or the arch of your foot, and then into the heel. Now see if you can distribute the force evenly through the soles of your feet. There's not one part that's tensing or one part that's collapsing, but they're pretty evenly connected, aware of the earth. And then relaxing the arms and shoulders, relaxing the neck and jaw. Take an inhale. And when you exhale, tuck your pelvis under so you feel your low spine imprint into the mat. And then continue that to slowly roll up through your spine bit by bit. Right, so your hips are lifting off the mat. Once you arrive there, this is a little bit different than a yoga bridge. Sometimes in yoga, we're looking to open the chest and shoulders and push the chest up. Right, in this case, we're actually keeping our shoulders connected on the mat, tucking our tail under, and then feeling our inner thighs roll inwards a little bit towards one another so that we stay aligned in the knees. And as we exhale, we soften the sternum into the body and we slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time. Until eventually we release the tailbone and rest down. Inhale at the bottom. Exhale, tilt from the tail, ground through the feet. So you ground through the feet so that the spine can roll up. And remember, you're going a little bit more for a line from your throat to your knees, like a diagonal line lengthening out through your knees rather than lifting up really high. And keeping the feet grounded here, allow one hip, like a teeter-totter, one hip to drop a little bit. And then switch sides, the other hip drops. So it's just a little shift from one foot or one hip to the other. Again, noticing the difference in the legs and maintaining that connection through the feet, grounding the toes, the big toes into the mat. And find center again with your hips. Maybe you tuck the tail under even more, and maybe now you reach your knees as much as you can away from your head. And you might have to adjust your shoulders when your body shifts, right? So you might feel your hamstrings a lot as you find that reach. Inhale into your chest, and then exhale, soften your chest and roll down. Keep the tuck of the pelvis for as long as you possibly can, until the very end when you come to the mat. Then you let it go and you widen your sits bones. Okay, roll to the side and come to sit up. And we will switch our body position now that we've opened up through our abdominals. So we're gonna come to all fours position, hands and knees, tabletop kind of shape. And we're gonna walk the hands forward of our shoulders, and we're gonna kind of shift side to side. So we kind of exaggerate like a big lion, right? Just moving the claws forward until you're gone as far as you can, and then as smoothly as you can, you walk yourself back in, right? Taking your time, feeling your hands work like your feet until your hands are underneath your shoulders again, and then you go one more time, walk it out. So we're basically warming up through our wrists to hold our weight, shifting side to side, and feeling the way that our fingers connect into the mat. So you might take a moment here before you crawl back in when you're out long and just feel that nice space in your shoulder blades. And then gently walking your hands back in, taking your time to yield your hands in and out of the mat. So you're grounding down to receive that little lift from the earth, so it's as gentle as possible. And then you come back to the hands being directly underneath your wrists. Okay, from here we're going to tuck our toes under. We're going to feel that same feeling we did earlier with the low belly. So do a belly breath here where you actually allow your belly to expand towards the floor. And then exhale, let it draw in and up. So feel that support and then keep that support. As you keep that support, press into the finger pad so that you feel the back of your heart lift a little bit. You're not curving your spine, you're just lifting the back of the heart up towards the ceiling. And then exhale to lift your knees off. Come into a mini down dog with your sits bones nice and wide. Let your head and neck relax. On your next exhale, return to the all fours and your knees will just hover, so you won't let them touch the bottom. You're gonna stay here in the hover and do little bounces gently. Feel the low belly lifting in and up. Feel that connection between the shoulder blades. You're not collapsing your shoulders, but you're lifting the back of the heart up. And then, once again, shift the hips up and back for a mini down dog. I'd recommend for now just keeping your knees bent, but if you want to lengthen them out, of course, feel free and let your head be relaxed. Feel your index finger press into the floor. And then gently lower your knees all the way down. Take a moment here. We're going to repeat that knee lift. So you find your low belly support first. Find stable shoulders. Exhale, lift the knees up. So you can either repeat the little bounce we did earlier or pause here. This is very tricky. And exhale to take your right hand to your left knee. And you're trying to keep that left shoulder balanced and supported and the hips as level as possible. Lower the right hand, take a moment in the center, and do the other side. Connect the knee and hand, left hand to right knee. Breathe, turning on the whole core here. Connect the hand back down, lower the knees. Release your toes, open your knees out wide, and maybe take a gentle, brief child's pose here to reset. Deepening your breath. Feeling your back body expand as you inhale. Okay, and then we'll shift forward and we'll stay on our elbows now. Have your elbows directly under your shoulders, your knees kind of close together. We're going to take a plank on our forearms here. So take one foot back and you can keep your bum up in the air quite high if you're feeling a bit vulnerable in the plank in your low back. And add your second foot. So you can keep your bum up and then you can slowly bring it down, adjust your feet to figure out how far you want to go in your plank. You can always lower one knee down as well. If you're going for the full plank, you might think of tucking your tail under a little bit. Feel that low belly connect. Feel your toes spread out onto the floor. And then shine your heart forward a little bit without your neck lifting up. And then move your body forward and back on the balls of your feet. Feeling the body so alive, so connected. Feel those inner thighs lift up and connect to help the rest of your body. Nice long exhale. And then gently lower the knees and relax, take a rest. Might do a little puppy pose for a moment. We're going to do one more version of that. So take a few moments just to reset there. Okay, we'll return to plank and we'll add a little hip dip here. So coming back, one foot, exhale, second foot. Align the hips, and just like we did with the bridging exercise, like a little teeter-totter, one hip drops down like a little hip dip, come back to center, other hip. Now you might make these quite big and move along the sides of your feet, or you might make it really tiny. Using your breath to connect. And once you're level with those, come to center. Pause and center for one long exhale. And then gently bend the knees and rest. Get the heat going. So take a few moments, either in a puppy pose or a child's pose, to reset your energy there. And then when you're ready, just make your way up to sit. Okay, we're gonna do some spine movement now. So you're gonna grab your prop again. And we're gonna begin with opening the upper spine a little bit. So we'll have your prop sort of at the bra line, like just at the bottom tips of your shoulder blades, right? So you can rest down into that. Bring your hands behind your head, supporting your neck and head. Align your feet with your knees and hips narrow like we did earlier in the bridging. And then let your head rest back into your hands. It doesn't matter if your head comes down to the floor or not. Now, if this isn't nice on your back, then you might have to move the ball up a little bit higher. If it feels compressive in your spine in some way, it should be really nice, really restorative in opening that thoracic spine. So let your body rest here. Taking 3 or 4 rounds of breath, feeling that your back rib cage can move into the prop. Really allowing your spine to rest into the shape. Letting your body receive your breath easefully. Start to bring your elbows forward. The next time that you exhale, curl your ribs, your front ribs into your back ribs. Let your head come along for the ride without pushing the neck or straining the neck. And then inhale, release back. Right, simple action, curl forward because the front ribs soften into the back ribs. And releasing back. And again, exhale. Stay in this curve. Feel your head just resting on top of your spine. Exhale, one leg to tabletop. And lower the foot down. Keep the hips as level as possible. Second leg to tabletop. Lower it down. Hips are level. First leg to tabletop. Exhale, maybe second leg to tabletop so they're both there. Bring the hands behind your thighs and allow your lower back to curl into the mat so you're in a little ball without straining your neck, right? The chin is slightly lowered, but you're not pulling your neck. From here, exhale to release your arms forward, staying in this little ball. Feel the neck free and move it a little bit if it wants to tense. If it does feel too tired, just bring your hands back behind your head again if you need. Exhale to deepen your low back into the mat. We're in a deep little curve here. And then maybe exhale to let one foot come down halfway or maybe all the way to the mat, even though you're keeping your low back imprinted into the mat. Other leg. So we're really going in now to this curve in the spine to create support in the curve. One more with the left leg. Bring the hands behind the head, lower one foot at a time, and rest the head back. Let the head be heavy in the hands. Deepen the breath. Maybe move the head side to side if you need a reminder for the neck. Now this time, we're gonna walk the feet out a little further. They're still flat on the mat, knees bent, but they're further away from us. Elbows reach a bit forward towards the ceiling. Exhale, front ribs into the back ribs to curl up. Extend the arms, and as smoothly as you can, grab on behind your thighs and try to come up smooth and slow to roll up to sit. And you can take your feet even out further if you'd like, or even open your knees. Curl from your tailbone, not from the chest like that, right? So keep the chest open and just curl from that tail, aiming to bring that low back into the mat. You might not actually go that far, but you're going in that direction. You pause. You might not be touching your prop. Breathe, relax the shoulders. Take the arms a little bit wider. Move the head, the little bobble head if you need, just as a reminder. Give yourself a little smile. Don't take it that seriously. Have fun. And then grab on behind the thighs and slowly curl up, sitting up nice and tall once you arrive. Okay, we're gonna take our prop out of the way and just have a little fun with this curving. And this is sort of some classical old school Pilates exercises that we're gonna do next. The first one's called rolling like a ball. So it's exactly what it sounds like. So you know that shape we were just in and that deep curve, we're gonna use that to roll as smoothly as we can. So what we do is we grab on top of the shins, right? And we balance on our sacrum first, right? So I'm balancing on that bone. And I'm looking kind of down between my knees and my shins are kind of low. And I keep the spine curled. I exhale as I do a little rock back. And I come back to try and balance without my feet touching the mat, right? That's the kind of the goal, right? If your shins stay closer to your body, it's quite a lot more challenging, right? It's very easy to use your shoulders and get them really tense. So just try to be like a kid again and have fun. And roll, and roll. And if your feet touch, no big deal. Just make it a fun little experiment. You might notice that you like veer off to one side, and that will kind of show you that those abs on that side are a little more dominant than the others. Good information. Give your spine a bit of massage here, and then pause the next time you come up, and you might open your knees apart, right? I'm holding on behind my knees now, and the knees are apart, and I'm lifting my chest this time, just to have that change, and then lower the feet down. Okay? Now I'm gonna walk you through a little series that's got some of that rolling into it. I'll show it to you first if you wanna see, but I'll be talking through it anyway. So I'm gonna roll back like I just did, and then I'm gonna bring my legs into the air. So I'm gonna go like this, roll back, I'm gonna put my hands on the mat, straighten out my legs and lift up for a moment. Then I'm gonna roll right back down, grab on behind my thighs to sit up into that little ball. Okay, so we're adding basically like a little shoulder stand thing. Okay, so you're in the little ball, you roll back, ground your arms, reach your legs, roll down as smoothly as you can, catch your legs as you roll up. And again, roll back, so just go into your own timing. Try to slowly roll down, that's the key, slow roll down, right? Now you might try no hands. If you want that version, you go no hands, balance in the ball with the arms extended, right? Arms on the mat. Roll slowly through the spine and then use a little bit of momentum to roll up and roll back down. I'm going to show you another version you can add on. Roll and then balance and maybe extend your legs. Now you're in a teaser pose. Woo! Breathe here. Roll down, straight legs. You can try keeping your legs straight the whole time. Right, I'm just adding on versions. You don't have to do all these. You can go back to the first one or rolling like a ball. Now, if you're coming up, I'm going to add another challenge if you want it. Bring the hands behind your head and behind your body and lift your chest. And then lower your legs slowly as your chest comes over your thighs. Woohoo! All right, and then you roll back, smooth transition. How smooth can you reach up? How smooth can you roll down? Maybe you're straightening, maybe you're not. Maybe you're bringing the arms behind your chest. Maybe you're lowering over the thighs. One more time for fun, roll back, because it's all fun. Reach the legs up and over, relax the neck, roll down slowly. Smooth transition up into your teaser. Hands behind, interlace the fingers, open the chest, over the thighs you go, drop the head. Release the arms. Relax. Good blood flow going on that one. Okay, so let's come to our side. So you're gonna go ahead and, oh, I'm sorry, I take that back and do something first. Sit the way you were earlier, but this time bring your hands behind you in whatever way is comfortable for your wrist. Like for me, my fingers facing back is more comfortable. You might be more comfortable a different way. Now, I'll give you an option if your wrists don't like this, okay? So we're gonna start simply by like a tabletop lift, right? So you wanna ground your hands and start to lift your hips, open your chest, and release back down. If your shoulders or your wrists don't like that, you could also try back on your elbows, right? And then just opening your chest, not even lifting your hips. Just open the chest to get that same beautiful opening in the top of the body there, okay? One more time, if you, either version, lifting up, breathing and feeling the front of the body open towards the ceiling, and release the hips back down. Now, either version, on your hands or your elbows, just straighten your legs, right? So again, you can be here on your elbows, right? If you're doing that version, you could open your chest only, or you could lift a little bit in your pelvis, right? So you're really challenging the whole back line of the body to engage. You can try on your hands if you want. Same idea. So we're trying to really find that support through the shoulders. Now, an added challenge here, if you want to pull this in, is to draw your right knee in and extend and flex and lower the foot back down. Other leg, shoulders staying stable. Exhale, knee to, foot to knee, extend towards the ceiling, flex and lower down, and lower the hips all the way down. Either version, just come up into a seated position and forward fold over your thighs. Take a few moments there. Letting the breath settle your energy here. And when you're ready, rolling back up. Okay, and now we'll come onto our side. So go ahead and lie on your right side, just so that it's easier to talk through the sides. So you can either, I would recommend lying all the way down either on your shoulder, or you could grab your prop, your blanket, or your towel, your ball, whatever, and put that under your head, okay? However you feel most comfortable. So lying on your side, and stretch your legs out. Put your hand in front of you onto the mat as a way to balance, and just have a sense that your whole body is long from the back of your head to your tail. And then stretch your top leg so much that it comes a little bit off the other leg. So it's just a little bit lifted. Remember that sensation of softening your sternum and your front ribs into your body, into your back body, to help you stay connected. And we're just gonna take some small circles here. These are really tiny. And I'm thinking about the back edge of the circle more than the front, right? So really connecting to the back of my leg. If the balance feels really too challenging here, just bend your bottom knee for a little bit more stability there. Right, and then reverse your circle. These are pretty slow and precise and small so that you can really sense the movement happening in your hip socket. Remember, hopefully feeling the back of the leg engaged. And then just rest that leg. Check in with your neck and your shoulders. Relax the areas that you don't need to use. And then exhale, gather those low belly muscles in and start to squeeze the legs together and lift them up together. So both legs are just elevated off the mat a little bit. Now I'm going to keep my top leg exactly where it is, but I'm going to move my bottom leg down and back up and lower and up. Right, so I'm connecting into the midline so clearly here. Feel the inner thighs connect up into the pelvic floor. And even though there's a lot happening here and a lot to organize, see if you can soften into your breath here. Soften the edges and the spaces where you don't need to tense so much. And then bring that leg up again and hold for a moment. You might test your balance by bringing the arm either overhead to the ceiling or above your head and feeling the length of the legs. And as a little fun thing, you could slowly turn to your belly And then lift up onto your fingertips and lift your chest. You might have your legs off still, or you might lower them down. Right, have that moment of extension and opening the heart. And then relax back down. And you'll turn to your other hip. So you might face away from me, or you might flip around. So lying on your left side now. So again, take a moment to feel your body truly aligned, the back of the head and tail aligned. Front arm in front of you for balance, reach your front leg. And it reaches your top leg, reach it so much so it comes off the other one. You relax the shoulders. You feel a sense of front body connecting into the back body. And you take your small, slow, precise circles, keeping the energy calm, even though you're being quite specific about the movement. Noticing how you can move into the back space, the back part of that circle. And reversing direction. Feeling the low abdominals connect and gather to help you stay organized here. Noticing that the legs will feel different. That's totally normal for everybody. And relax that leg. Okay, the legs are aligned. Both legs reach and they both come off the mat. And you feel the inner thighs connect. Again, you feel the front ribs soften into your body. And then you're only moving your bottom leg. It lowers and it floats back up. And I'm never really relaxing it onto the floor. I'm just barely coming down and lifting back up again. So I keep it pretty engaged the whole time. Relaxing that top shoulder, deepening into that exhale. And then holding the leg up there and feeling the connection of your midline, the inner thighs, up into the pelvic floor, up through the center of your spine, lighting up your whole body. Softening the outer edges of your body. And then relaxing back down. Turn to your belly just like earlier. Extend the arms out in front of you again. Adjust if you need to be more in the middle of your mat. And come up to those fingertips like you've got kind of claws on the floor. And press your pubic bone into the mat so you have a little low belly lift. And just elevate your chest a little bit. I'm keeping my legs down. Whatever feels best for you is fine. And then from there, you might keep this. Feel the front of your body connect. And then maybe take your fingers off the mat and widen your arms a little bit so they're not so directly in front of you. And feel the shoulder blades connect. Start to bend your elbows and feel the bottom tips of your shoulder blades slide towards each other. Feel the chin to the throat so the back of the neck is long. And then start to extend the arms again. At this point, I feel like reaching my legs up a little bit. You can reach them up or keep them down. All right, moving the shoulder blades as you move the breath. They're moving together. They're moving together. One more time, they're moving together. And then when the elbows bend, bring the hands down next to your chest and relax your legs if they're up. Wiggle your hips, adjust your body. The elbows are pointing up to the ceiling, so your shoulder blades are sliding into each other. You tuck the tail under to feel the front of the body connect. And then you start to press your hands into the mat and pause. Now we want to feel those front ribs draw into our back if you wish. Roll the shoulders back and then start to lift your heart forward and up without your chin lifting up too high. Right, so you might be at any level here. It doesn't matter what level you're at as far as height. And then release down to the mat. Rest your arms by your side. Turn your head to one side so you're lying on one cheek. And then just shake your hips side to side to release. Turn your head the other way and keep shaking the hips, just letting it go. Press your hands again into the mat, tuck your toes under, press back for a brief child's pose or some version of that. Elbows can be resting on the mat or long. And as we start to slowly bring our practice to a close, stay fully connected to your breath. So although it becomes slower and calmer, we are still completely embodied in our breath. And slowly start to come up and make your way into a comfortable seat for yourself. Right, so you might be cross-legged, you might sit on a chair, you might kneel, whatever you like. You might sit up on your prop to give you a little more height in your spine. All right, so find a place that feels comfortable for you. And we're gonna circle back to the beginning of class where we were swaying, but now we're just sitting. And these will be really gentle sways of your spine. Remembering that we are mostly water, right? So let that fluid part of your body really shine here. And so there's no rigid sort of way of doing it. You're just allowing for flow, right? And as this is happening, there's this sense of grounding through your sitting bones into the surface beneath you. You can have your eyes closed or open. Right, remembering that every movement is your choice, right? You make it your own design to really nourish and support your body. Continue to sway, but start to slow it down and make it a little smaller. It's still happening, it's just a little smaller. It starts to become more and more subtle. Becomes even smaller. It might appear on the outside that you're still, but inside you have this sway. Or staying tuned in with your breath here. Not needing to make it a certain way, just staying attuned. Full spine. You're tall, spacious, mobile, supportive spine. And the energy running through it. And although it is long and alert, it's also relaxed. Let's bring our palms to our heart center and just take a moment of gratitude that we can breathe and move and be here today. Namaste. Thank you.